What's up, everybody? My name is Tucker. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the top 5 contenders in the NBA right now. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like rating on it. Check out my socials in the description as well. And let's go ahead and get started. So this is a much more difficult conversation than you might think that it would be initially. I'm sure there are teams that come to mind immediately that you're thinking about within this top 5. The first couple of teams are not that difficult to come up with, but when you go all the way out to a top 5 and you look at the standings to begin this season, they are absolutely all over the place. I mean, if the season ended today, the Lakers would be playing the Thunder in a play-in game. The Hawks, Pacers, and Bucks, none of which would be actually in the postseason or play-in at all as of the recording of this video. The Cavs and the Bulls would get home court advantage in the first round. The standings are all over the place, which makes it really difficult to identify which teams are true contenders through the first 15 to 20 games of the season, but we're going to attempt to do that here. I'm going to go in reverse order here, starting with number 5, and I went with Denver. I don't feel very confident about it because it's unclear if Jamal Murray is going to be able to return for a potential playoff run for Denver, and as fantastic as Nikola Jokic is, it's difficult for me to believe that with this current roster, without Jamal Murray, they're going to be able to make a run and win the NBA title with a lot of other talented teams that are around the league. But strictly from how they've played so far this season, how good Jokic has been, and the possibility that Murray could return by the postseason, I feel like they have to be at number 5. Here are the other teams, by the way, that you could look at. Just look at the standings and say, these are teams that are playing well to begin the season, and tell me if you would put any of them over Denver in this conversation. Washington, which, by the way, has the best record in the Eastern Conference as of the recording of this video. As great as they've been, I'm not ready to put them into like contender status, right? They're a nice, interesting, deep team, but just because they're 9-3 or whatever, I don't think I'm going to put them into, contender status. Chicago, same thing. Cleveland, same thing. These are top 4 teams in the East right now if the playoffs started today. But I guess I'd be more inclined to put someone like the Bulls there than Cleveland. But even then, I just can't get there. We've seen playoff success from this Denver team. I've never seen it from Chicago in this current era. So I have a hard time getting there with them. Same thing with Cleveland, obviously. And then in the West, Dallas, Utah, teams that, we've had some playoff success from Utah in the past, and Dallas, of course, has Luka. But I don't see anything there from a roster construction standpoint that gives me a ton of hope to put them in over the Nuggets. And then Philly, who has their entire situation basically up in the air as it relates to Ben Simmons. I mean, you could put, I guess, any of those teams at 5, and I'd be inclined to believe you. But when we're talking about true contenders for the title, I just kind of have to put Denver at number 5. Now we get to, really the meat of the list here. For number 4, I went with the Miami Heat, a team that got off to a really good start, have cooled off a little bit lately. I'm not really concerned with the record for Miami at this point. It's kind of about what we thought that it would be through this many games, but it's more so about when you watch them and understanding how good they could be in the postseason, assuming that they're healthy. All the pieces are already there. Even just in that little run they had in the beginning of the year, it was made very, very clear where this team could be by season's end, assuming they're healthy. So the regular season is really not that big of a deal to me for Miami. So we know that Jimmy Butler can be awesome in the postseason and carry a team. We know Bam Adebayo is one of the most versatile front court players in the league. Tyler Hero has been the best bench player in the entire league and has been scoring extremely well. Duncan Robinson hasn't been playing particularly well, and they've still had a decent record. Assuming he starts shooting the ball better, they'll be a better team. They've got some impact role player guys like Morris and PJ Tucker, guys like that. And then Kyle Lowry, of course, has been a really, really good fit with them. And not to mention someone like Victor Oladipo is still trying to return from injury and could potentially have an impact on this team, and the possibility that they're going to bring in guys in the buyout market as well as via a trade down the road. This is, to me, one of the true contenders in the East. It's a team that once we get to the playoffs, if they can get through the regular season with everybody healthy, they have playoff success. They have a system that works. They're going to be able to really, really guard, and they're only going to add pieces and get better as the season progresses. And so I have to put them at number 4 right now in terms of title contention to begin the season based off how they've looked and some of the possibilities for them moving forward in terms of moves they can make. Next up now at number 3 is the team that, as of the recording of this video, has the longest winning streak in the league active, and that's the Phoenix Suns. This is a Suns team that, a couple of weeks ago, their record was not looking very good, but they turned it on and they look like Phoenix from last year. They've got Chris Paul doing awesome things, Devin Booker doing great things, DeAndre Ayton controlling the paint. They've got Bridges and Cam Johnson, making plays on the wings, knocking down shots. Phoenix is going to be heard from throughout this season. Whether they stay as a top 3 contender on this list for the entirety of the season, I don't know. There are, of course, other teams that are not going to be mentioned on this list, like the Lakers, that could start playing better if Philly resolves the Ben Simmons situation. Maybe they move up in this list. But based strictly off of how they've looked to begin the season and over their last 8 games, I have to give Phoenix all the credit in the world as a team that, we know what they are. We know that Phoenix, similar to Miami, we know they have a formula that works. We've seen it already to begin this season. And assuming everybody's healthy and ready to rock and roll in the postseason, this is a team that is not only good now, but should get better throughout the year, potentially with buyout guys and guys like Ayton continue to get comfortable and develop. And they've added a piece or two from last year that could potentially make them even more dangerous, having a little bit more depth at the 5 spot with someone like JaVale McGee. There's a possible trade here with Jalen Smith. Whatever the case may be, this is a team that is real, they're legitimate, and it's very, very clear to me that this is a team that could contend for the conference finals and the finals based off how they've begun this season. Next up at number 2, I went with Brooklyn. And I watched a lot of Brooklyn basketball to begin the season. I do truly believe that they are a real contender. I picked them before the season win the title. And like the Kyrie thing is, it's honestly not even in my mind, because you can talk about, the impact of Kyrie if he does or doesn't come back sometime around the new year. But the real question for me is like, because if Kyrie just didn't exist on this roster, this should still be a team that should have the goal of winning the title, even if it is just Kevin Durant, James Harden, and all the other pieces. So seeing this team, this group, as it's currently constructed, play at a title contending level is really the most important factor here. And in stretches, I have seen that. There have been your typical things in the NBA where you're up by 20 against New Orleans and you give up a lead and you have to fight way harder down the stretch of that game than you really ever should. Stuff like that happens all the time. Harden has been very, very up and down. He's starting to turn it on a little bit statistically lately, but part of that is because his usage and his shot volume have increased dramatically, and the turnovers and stuff are still bad. He's still not getting to the line as much as you would like. But Kevin Durant has been out of his mind. Guys like Patty Mills, Joe Harris are making shots, and that's the formula, is if those two guys are playing well and everybody else is making shots and they can defend at a league average level, that makes them one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference and potentially in the league. And I have not seen anything to this point to deter the idea that Brooklyn is a true contender. Not the top contender so far to begin this season, but certainly worst case, the second best contender so far to begin this season. Really, my only concerns here are trying to figure out what vets to play. Blake has not looked good at all from the perimeter. If he's not making shots, the value of having him on the floor decreases dramatically, because it's nice to have his small ball presence out there offensively. He can pass and things like that. And defensively, he's active, but he's never going to be a great rim protector or anything. And part of the goal of having him out there is the fact that he can space the floor. If he doesn't start making shots, that's going to be a problem. Then trying to figure out, where LaMarcus Aldridge, who's been really good, by the way, Paul Millsap, these kinds of guys fit in. And then, just the idea of if Harden gets used to being high usage James Harden again, what happens when Kyrie comes back? Lots of questions still there. But again, just strictly based off how they've looked, I have no problem putting them at number 2. The number 1, I don't think it could be any other team. I think it has to be Golden State. It's kind of crazy how we went from Golden State could be interesting this year. We'll see how they look when Klay comes back. They've got a nice amount of depth to they're potentially the best team in the entire league. It's kind of crazy how quickly we got to that, but I think we're there. Steph's playing at MVP level. Draymond Green is active. He's engaged offensively. The numbers aren't going to be outstanding at this point in his career, but he's such a connective piece for them. He drives good offense without crazy numbers and without spacing the floor, just because of his understanding of the game, his ability to get guys in good spots, get them good shots. And the depth that we've talked about has been there, and it's been so apparent. The difference between this team and teams of the past couple of years in the post-Kevin Durant era in Golden State feature good basketball players on the floor way more than anything that we've seen over the past couple of years. And of course, one of the main reasons not only that they're on this list, but they're at the top of the list, is not necessarily how they've played to begin the season, which they've been awesome, but also the potential return of Klay Thompson and something we're going to get into in a video later this week, some possible moves for them that could allow them to really go all in and chase a title this year. Golden State looks like a team that came out with something to prove to begin the season. Steve Kerr looks like he's coaching every single game like it's a finals game. He's losing his mind over every call. He seems locked in. They understand the system. They understand how to guard. They are a dangerous team. And if Klay comes back and looks good, Steph continues to play well, they stay healthy, they make some moves, they could potentially be the title favorite by the time the postseason rolls around, which for me personally, I think would be super, super fun to have Golden State back at the top of the league like that in a system that allows for so much ball movement and creativity and shot making, going back to kind of that pre-KD era of Golden State Warriors basketball, hopefully when Klay comes back as well. And it's super, super fun. I can't wait to see what they look like as the season progresses. Let me know down in the comment section below if there's a team you feel like I missed talking about entirely in this video. I'd be kind of surprised if that was the case, or if you thought the order of this top 5 potentially could have been changed. But that is going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you guys very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, be sure to check out the boxes on screen as well. And yeah, with all those things said, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.